anytime you can, check all the steps through the recording in the Moodle room. Anyway, so today we are going to see the graphic design as a discipline before we start the graphic design practice, like, how designer work and what kind of software applications we are using now during the course. Give me 1 second. Someone just joined the meeting. Good morning.
Good morning.
You're just about starting. So again, we are going to see the graphic design as a discipline, how designer works, and what kind of software application we are going to use over the course. So everyone, what is graphic design? What is it?
Designing like through computer work.
Oh, yeah, I think like that. Yeah, that's right. Who else?
I think it's design using pixels.
Oh, pixels. Yes, yes, it is. And who else?
I was gonna say like computer. I was gonna say like computer art, like
Computer art. Yes, that's right. All of your, answers are correct. Yeah. So graphic design is creative arts discipline that encompasses many areas. Okay, someone just sent the chat. Digital art, yes. Visual art, digital art, yes. So it may include art direction, typography, page layout, information technology, and other creative aspects. So graphic design developed from the printing and the publishing industry with the term itself first used in the 1950s. So technological development has placed designers at the heart of the creative process. Often a graphic designer manages the design process and coordinates the work undertaken by other creative disciplines as a part of a job. As such, the scope of designers' responsibilities now includes print buying, website programming, photography, page layout, material selection, art direction, freehand illustration, computer-generated illustration called CGI, project management, client account management, storyboarding, editing, and pre-press production. So thinking of graphic design as a trade is anachronistic and limited. So it is more useful to look at the underlying approach to design that a graphic designer takes in order to understand his or her role in the print and digital production process. So a designer essentially has 3 roles in the process: satisfying the design brief and executing the job, and communicating and conveying messages. So these are their priority job. So let's see one by one. So the first task a graphic designer fulfills is to work out what has to be done in order to satisfy a design brief. So this may involve conducting research into the subject matter and audience in order to generate preliminary ideas. And any project begins as a series of preliminary sketches throughout thoughts or ideas. And the next job, executing the job. So designers may work with and choose from a varied selection of sources to conceive the final design, whether employing a philosophical viewpoint such as modernism or relying on pure aesthetics of current trends in typeface design or fashion, for example. And the last graphic designer's job is communicating and conveying messages. So a designer can arrange text and images in an infinite number of ways, but the ultimate aim is to communicate effectively rather than produce radical work for its own sake. The design actively develops, maintains, and evolves conventions, axioms, and cliches in order to convey important messages. So now is important. So here is a graphic design work process. Step 1, start with a creation brief. And step 2, conduct graphic design research. And step 3, brainstorm your ideas. And step 4, review of the 10, 15, 99 stage. Oh, sounds serious. And step 5, present the final product. So let's see one by one in detail. So step 1, start with a creation brief. The creative design process starts with a creative brief, which sets the tone for the entire project. So it's the first and arguably one of the most important steps in the visual design process, as it will lead the ideation phase in creation a design which meets the requirements. So a creative brief is a document that's aimed to help the designer understand the scope of the project and what's needed from them. So you will want to include as much relevant information as possible to reduce any confusion and, as a result, back and forth. So be sure to include the following in your brief when you design something. So like company details, brand guidelines, target audience, if there is one, define the problem the brand is facing and what the final product should be. For example, brochure, ebook, website, book cover, something like that. And timeline, expectation, and milestones, and budget, the most important part, and what you intend the viewers to do when they see the final product, and examples of similar work you like and you don't like. And the next step, conduct graphic design research. So depending on the scope of the project, you will want to include as much valuable information in your creative brief to minimize the time spent in this step. However, it's still extremely valuable for designers to go through the researching phase themselves to build a better understanding of the audience they are designing for and how to make it work for you. So the research phase of the design process often involves things like looking at competitors' designs. That's really important. And look at what the intended audience is engaging with on channels like social media. And the last one, taking all of the knowledge they've learned and applying it to the project at hand. And the third step is brainstorming your ideas. So before a designer goes full throttle into a project, have them brainstorm some ideas and present them to you. So this will minimize any frustration throughout the creative process. So don't forget to outline this step in your creative brief. And if the project owner who created the brief has really strong ideas on how the final designs should look, and it's best for them to add in any relevant links or inspiration into the brief for optimal clarity. So once the designer presents 3 to 5 ideas from their brainstorming and ideation phase, decide on which one you want to move forward. This will make for a smooth graphic design workflow process that gets you best result fast. And the fourth step, review of the 10, 50, 99 stage. So when determining new milestones in your creative brief, be sure to check in with designers throughout the design process. So the 10, 50, 99 feedback process ensures that you're checking in at the most crucial parts of the project, so allowing you to give the right feedback at the right time. So 10% done means like a skeleton outline or wireframe of the final design. At this stage, you can give feedback on the vision and the direction, and the work is headed in. And the 50% done means the core components are coming together. The direction is no longer at debate. So leave that feedback at the door instead of focusing on whether or not the vision you determined it is being visualized in the design. So 99% done is almost done now. So you can think about like spacing, color, or that kind of thing, the detailed things. So the design is complete. So now like that, the final, the simulation views you can make, throughout the design process. So most of the designers follows that, the 5 steps normally, and the most of the clients wants to work with that kind of a process. So that's just how designers work with. And then now let's look at what we are going to use for learning graphic design. So the first one, Adobe Illustrator. So I will show you a video about Illustrator made by Adobe, which explains what the software application used for and states what you have to know. Have anyone used the Adobe Illustrator before?
Yeah, I used it a little bit in high school, but that was like
Uh,
years ago.
you
I
have?
used it a little bit too, but it wasn't like crazy.
Ah, okay.
I had graphic printing class in high school.
Oh,
We used it a
oh,
lot.
awesome. So probably, some of you know, illustration The Illustrator, has lots of functions to draw graphic images. So this is basically drawing tool for the digital art. So let me, am I sharing this? Oh, yes. So let's watch this video together. So
bring that artwork into InDesign for a complete design workflow. As a Creative Cloud subscriber, you can browse and access thousands of royalty-free stock art from Adobe Stock directly from Illustrator. And Illustrator integrates perfectly with animation and video apps like Animate CC, Premiere Pro, and After Effects, so you can take your Illustrator artwork to video and animations too. Illustrator lets you create designs that are infinitely scalable for any size of screen or printed material. And with Illustrator CC and Creative Cloud, you can turn your...
Oh, I'm sorry. It was supposed to start from the beginning. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
It's a little
Okay.
bit low.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Okay.
Adobe Illustrator CC is the industry standard design app that lets you capture your creative vision with shapes, color, effects, and typography. Work across desktop and mobile devices and quickly create beautiful designs that can go anywhere: print, web and apps, video and animations, and more. Digital graphics fall into two primary categories: vector graphics and raster graphics.
So this part is really important. That's the most different features of between the Illustrator and the Adobe Photoshop.
Raster-based graphics, such as a photograph, are groups of pixels aligned on a grid to form an image. They have a fixed resolution.
That is the base for the Photoshop. So it's all the images are pixelized.
Raster images cannot be scaled up or down without quickly losing quality. Vector graphics are resolution independent. They're made of objects and paths that are defined mathematically, which means they can be scaled up or down in size without losing quality. While Illustrator can work with both of these types of graphics, its powerful toolset for creating and manipulating vector graphics is what makes it the go-to app for a wide range of uses. So what is Illustrator used for? Just look around you to see logos that brand corporations and products, and are used in all types of applications, from business cards to websites, billboards to bus wraps. You can also create photorealistic artwork, navigation icons on websites, packaging designs for general merchandise, maps, both printed and digital, charts and infographics, posters, perhaps announcing a museum exhibit or music concert, and all manner of illustrative artwork. User interfaces on your computer and mobile devices, even the clothes you wear. All of these and more are created with the help of Adobe Illustrator. Start your creative work wherever you are with mobile apps like Illustrator Draw, Capture CC, and Comp CC, and continue your work with Illustrator CC on the desktop. You can work seamlessly across Photoshop with artwork that was first created in Illustrator, like this illustration, and leverage Creative Cloud libraries built into Adobe desktop and mobile apps to keep all your creative assets up to date and at your fingertips. And bring that artwork into InDesign for a complete design workflow. As a Creative Cloud subscriber, you can browse and access thousands of royalty-free stock art from Adobe Stock directly from Illustrator. And Illustrator integrates perfectly with animation and video apps like Animate CC, Premiere Pro, and After Effects, so you can take your Illustrator artwork to video and animations too. Illustrator lets you create designs that are infinitely scalable for any size of screen or printed material. And with Illustrator CC and Creative Cloud, you can turn your brightest ideas into your greatest work, wherever inspiration strikes. Go out and make...
All right, that is Illustrator. Looks fun, right? Can't wait to make something. Okay. And now, The next video is about the Adobe Photoshop. This video is kind of old, but the creator explained what the Adobe Photoshop's functional purpose is very well. So let's watch it together.
If you're taking this course, then I have to assume that you're relatively new to Photoshop. I'm sure you've probably heard someone use photoshopped as a verb, as in, man, there's no way that that guy could have a beard that epic. It must have been photoshopped because no one would possibly take the time to carve in those stripes. But I want to take a little bit of time to just go over a few of the things that Photoshop can do for you. You can use it in illustration, you can use it in photography, you can use it in web design. So we're going to take a few minutes now and just take a look at all of the different things that Photoshop can achieve. So when most people think of Photoshop, they imagine a photographer sitting in a room somewhere, taking photos for magazine covers and turning something that looks like this into something that looks like this. Now, this is also a source of a lot of controversy for Photoshop, but you have to admit it is pretty amazing. For the most part, I find that when you're discussing Photoshop with people who don't know very much about it, they automatically assume that this is basically the only thing that you can do with it. They also assume that it's only a tool for photographers. And while yes, there are a lot of photographers who use it to change a scene like this into a scene like this, there are many, 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 many uses for Adobe Photoshop. So this video, I'm going to take you through a couple of the different things that you can do with Photoshop. Some of them you may not have known possible. All right, so the example on the left is what's known as image manipulation. And you can see that right at the bottom here where it says image manipulation. It's where you take an existing photo and you use Photoshop to change it, where you adjust the colors, move things around, add elements from other photos, and you turn it into a work of art that more fits your vision. It's kind of a cross between painting and photography, because you're not using elements of paint to create your work, you're using elements of photo and blending them seamlessly in with other elements, changing them, color manipulation, etc. The image on the right, as you can see, most of the human elements on the before picture have been eliminated, as well as this obnoxious sign here on the beach proclaiming that no dogs are allowed to swim here. And the colors in the image have been slightly brightened and tweaked a little bit. Let's take another quick example of straight color correction. This image is actually not the original. Now, at first glance, it looks like something you could have taken on your home camera, but the actual home camera image is right here underneath. And as you can see, the color is really yellowed out. So we haven't removed any blemishes or nuances or people in the background in this image. This is basic straight color correction, where we've taken the color information inside our original photo and we've made the skin look more skin colored, and we've altered the color of the background. So that's strictly color correction, which is when you take an initial photo and you change the colors to make it look more realistic or brighter or fit the vision that you have. In the photographic realm, we also have image restoration. Now, image restoration is, strictly speaking, photo manipulation, but specifically, it's when you take an old image like the one we have here on the left and repair everything inside it to give us the one that's on the right. As you can see, the one that's on the right is a far better quality than the one on the left. The artist has taken out all of these tears and the wrinkles, a lot of this spotting that goes on here, which you'll see in a lot of older photographs, and smoothed everything out and made the image more crisp in the new one. Here's another example of the same thing, a little more color correction added. You can see it's brighter here. We have taken out a little bit of, we have a zit under there, under the kid's nose, and we've gotten rid of the tearing. Now, if we start to pull out of the realm of strict photography and push closer into the realm of painting, the next subtle grade between the two is digital matte painting. Now, you've seen digital matte painting quite a bit if you've watched any sort of movie. This right here is a combination of painting with either traditional paints or digital paint in Photoshop and photography. We've taken some photos in the background here. We've got this castle. Some of these are photographic elements and some of them are paint. We have a couple of these. These are typically used in film when you have your characters in a background that doesn't exist. Sure, it's easy to build a cottage or some small set, but if you wanted to build a huge landscape, then, you know, it takes nature millions of years to build the mountain, so you can only imagine how long it would take a small construction crew. It's way easier to just paint it. And this here, being a combination of paint and photography, is a good enough painting that our eyes are fooled when you put it in the background into thinking that it's just part of the set. Another more modern one, a cityscape. And you can see there are a couple of sort of flying ships here composited into the image as well. In film, obviously, anything that's moving, the smoke here would be animated, the ships would be animated. It wouldn't be just like, hey, look at the background, there's a bunch of ships hovering in midair, and they're blurred out as though they're moving. If we come back here and we start talking about magazine covers, not only can you manipulate and create the images for the cover of the magazine, but you can also create the layout of the magazine itself. This is more of a brochure layout, but you can see how real easily some of the elements here can be added into a magazine layout. Which brings me to my next point, which is design. And you can do a lot of design within Photoshop. Some of this has probably been done in Illustrator because Illustrator gives you more exact lines, and a lot of logo design is actually done in Illustrator because Illustrator produces vector artwork, which is infinitely scalable. Here are just some more logo designs. So what else do we have in design? Well, I bet you didn't know this. Fashion design is often done in Photoshop. Sure, this looks like a cartoon character, but this would be the initial concept for this line of clothing. And of course, once we start talking about concept design, all sorts of things begin to play in the mix. For instance, here is a concept design for a futuristic Audi hovercraft. Here we have concept design for an outfit, presumably for a video game. More automobile concept design, character design, movie set design. This would probably be handed then over to a 3D department or a digital map painter, and then they would create this set for a movie. Or character design, all sorts of things. These will generally be, here's more fashion design for you. These will generally be the preliminary drawings that will take place in pre-production on a video game or in the fashion industry or on a movie set. And this is referred to as concept design, because this is somewhere between a completely finished illustration and a concept that can be easily changed. As you can see over here on the left, we have different silhouette forms, and these are essentially initial sketches so we know what this creature is going to look like in silhouette, which we'll talk about later in the design series, the importance of silhouette. One step past concept design is going to be illustration, which also can take several forms. These next few that I have to show you here are book and magazine covers. There's a book cover right there for you. So illustration would be that concept design taken an extra step further and completed in a finished drawing, which would then go to print. We would have possibly, along the top or along the side here, you'd have the name of the book and any other sort of type that had to go in there. We make the difference between illustration and concept design almost solely in the completed aspect of the work. Concept design is illustration where we're trying to draw out ideas, and illustration proper is those ideas realized to their fullest extent. Even though a couple of these aren't in Photoshop, this is one of my favorite illustrators of all time, Norman Rockwell. And then we go back over here and we see Ryan Benjamin, who brings me to my next category, which is another aspect of illustration, sequential art. And specifically here, I'm talking about comic books. In modern times, comic books are almost entirely completed inside Photoshop, from the initial sketches to the layout of the various pages to the coloring, all of the lettering here that you'll see probably done in Photoshop or similar software. And this is another one of my favorite comic book artists, Travis Charest. Anyway, I'll cover my last area of Photoshop right now, which is web design. Almost every aspect of web design, with the exception of the coding itself, can be done inside Photoshop. From the initial layout, which is what you're going to see here, to all of the images in Photoshop, all of the little buttons, the icons cropped in Photoshop, if not entirely made in Photoshop, like is probably the case with this easel here on the right. These little arrows, quite possibly made in Photoshop and exported out. So just about every aspect of web design goes through Photoshop in some way. Anyway, that's quite a lot to take in. And believe it or not, I haven't even talked about everything you can do with Photoshop. I've just tried to cover all of the basics for you and expand your mind a little bit. And now I hope you have a better idea of everything you can do with Photoshop. The purpose of this course is to provide you with the very basic.
Okay. How do you think?
Wait, so I have a question. So I have a painting. So if I take a picture of my painting, I could use Illustrator to kind of like
Exactly.
change it in.
Yes, exactly. You can take a picture of your hand drawing or painting, and then bring it to the Photoshop or Illustrator, and then you can recreate it in the digital version.
Oh wow. That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I know. So if you have lots of hand drawings or paintings or anything,
Right.
then prepare it.
Cause I always wondered like, how could I do that? Cause I have drawings like sketches and stuff that I wanted to put on like clothing, but I didn't know like what's the way I can do it, and I wanted to fix my drawings too
Mhm.
to make it look a little more like like more cleaned up a bit. But I
Yep,
didn't know you can use.
I will let you know very, very soon.
I wanted to add too, like to what Desiree was saying. I was looking into making clothes and stuff, and Illustrator is like a lot of designers use that because you can put your drawing in there and then you print it onto like a sheet and then you
Yep.
burn it to a screen, and then like it's amazing what you could do in there. It's crazy.
Yep, yep,
Yeah,
it
I
is.
didn't know that. Crazy.
Can't
The
wait
whole
it.
time I'm over here trying to paint. I'm over here trying to paint one of my drawings on a t-shirt. It's hard. I'm like, what's another way I can do this?
You know what? You're gonna see a totally different world. It's gonna be really fun. Yep. All right, the last one is about InDesign.
Adobe InDesign is a world standard layout program that allows designers and desktop publishers to create beautiful layouts. The original focus of InDesign is to create print documents like cards, brochures, magazines, and reports. But InDesign has also grown to be a cross-platform solution for creating interactive documents like PDFs and interactive publications for mobile devices like the iPad or Android tablets using the Adobe Digital Publishing Suite plugins. InDesign allows you to import your existing Microsoft Word or Excel documents in just a few clicks. Formatting your text is pretty straightforward, especially if you're familiar with the basic text options that other Microsoft or Adobe software have to offer. Use the basic text formatting options to make your messages stand out, or use more advanced typographic options to take your design to the next level. Apply text styles to automate your text formatting, and change your project by making global updates. Import one or multiple images at a time and easily move, crop, or scale them to fit your design. You can also add simple visual effects like a drop shadow, glow, or by changing the opacity of objects. InDesign supports all the main image formats and even allows you to work with native file formats from other Adobe programs like Adobe Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator. Optionally, you can add other things like an automated table of contents or maybe a QR code. Export your design to an email-ready, low-resolution PDF to get your client's approval, or choose any of the high-resolution PDF presets that meet today's market standards. Adobe InDesign is a very powerful and intuitive design tool that is easy to start with and fun to use.
All right. So that's it. So today's this
Video creators.
Oops.
Which video you're creating? Elements has everything you need.
I'm sorry.
I have a question, Professor.
Yep.
So we're InDesign. So what, like, say you make, you make something, like you make a logo in what was the last one?
In this InDesign?
InDesign, what was the one before?
The InDesign is for
Creativity.
InDesign is for the creating the publishment like a book or magazine or like a PDF file with the images, with the texts. So
Okay.
for the
So it sounds
logo,
like it might be like the last. What I'm thinking is like the last step. Like if you create a
that's
logo
right.
or something, then you put it
That's
into
right.
InDesign.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Everything you can put them together in the InDesign format. So when you see our syllabus, on the last for the last assignments is for the final, it's making a portfolio. You're gonna grab all the digital practice together in your portfolio by using the InDesign. So
Okay. All right. Thanks.
you're welcome. So today, we have a discussion. Everyone, after this meeting, I need you to go to week 1 and go find the week 1-2 discussion. This is the most important discussion topic. So what kind of graphic design work do you want to create during the course? And please find 3 to 5 examples or more and post the images in this discussion and write why you'd like to make that kind of design. So based on your opinions and what you want to make, then I'm gonna plan the the tools instruction and the demonstration. So this discussion is really important. Does everyone know how to post the images in the discussion forum?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
No, all right. I will show you now. So when you go to the forum, just hit add a new discussion button, just like normal posting the discussion, and then type subject and write something, your opinion, anything, sample explanation, blah blah blah, and then choose file. So before you choose file, before you post, upload your image, you have to search the images and then save the images in your computer. And then now hit this button to choose files and then find the image and hit submit button. So let's take a look at it. See, like this. So it's pretty much simple. So please find 3 to 5 images or more, or if you have any hand drawings or sketches, you can post to yours as well, doesn't matter. So anything you'd like to make digital art, then please post here. All right, that's all. That's today's homework. So please post today's discussion by tonight, and then by tomorrow, please reply to your peers. Okay? Any other question?
Nope. Sounds great.
All right. You want?
I do have one question.
All right.
The types of graphic designer, the ones that we